peace. I don't know why when I come live, my phone. Okay, I guess that's better. I wanted to pretty much come on here and talk about empathy. One second. So, oftentimes, right, when we have grown up a certain type of way, we start thinking that um our parents should have done better, that the way they raised us, it was unfair, right? And I was watching this movie called The Shack on Amazon Prime, and the idea here came about. I started thinking about my father and some of the things that growing up I seen my father do, and oftentimes, and I was very close to my father. In my eyes, as a little girl, no matter what he did, I would not like. He still was my father. Like I was very very close to him, but it was certain things that he did that you know society would say it wasn't right or whatever. It was like that. And as me watching this movie, it made me start thinking about having empathy for people. Sometimes we don't understand why people do some of the things that they do. And even um the person who had custody of me, and I thought, that she was really, really mean and, all these other things. But what I come to realize and understand is people do the best that they know how to do. It's not that they doing things intentionally, is because maybe they are blinded by their circumstances. And it's not justification, but one of the things that I see in my life is when I would judge people, right, and say, well, this person should have did a better job, right? Oftentimes, those same exact scenarios that I would say that they should have did a better job. I'm doing just like them. I think when we go through things in life is for us to get back to our true self, the love self, right? Get back to the person that we was created to be, not the person that we was programmed to be, right? And a lot of it has to do with the belief systems, you know. On my spiritual journey, what I see for my life is me deciding to want better. Is really about if you really want better. That's what life is about. And we have free will. Yes, we all have free will, but is you choosing, do you want better? Right? And certain things that you go through is for you to grow through. Like I am a firm believer that the families that we have been born into, that is a reason why we have been born into that family. I remember a long time ago, me and my mother was in a car, and I had told my mother, I said, I was born into this family. I don't belong to this family. And that was just like a way of saying the belief systems, the tradition, the pathologies, and all those different things. Like, I'm going to break loose from that, right? The whole point of this video is to say sometimes you have to have empathy for people who may have did certain things to you. And if you can't forgive others, right, then how could you forgive yourself? Because first it takes you forgiving yourself. And I used to be like, well, how how could, I hear people say, um forgive yourself. And I used to say, well, how could, what I'm forgiving myself for? Forgive yourself for holding on to that pain and resentment. And oftentimes you are circulating your pain, and you are making whatever it was that you've been through when you was a child, you are recycling that experience because you choose not to heal yourself. You choose not to see that there's a better way. You choose not to feel that what you've been through, it is just what you've been through, but it does not have to define who you are. It does not have to stop you from going wherever it is that you want to go, or accomplishing whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Is all within you. And that's, some of the things that I had to look at my life and say, this person did the best that they knew how to do. Like, if they could have done better, they would have done better, but they couldn't. Like, even when it comes to my mother, right? I love my mother dearly. And one of the things that I noticed, like, although my mother didn't have custody of me as a kid, one of the ways she would show her affection was when my sister and I would go to my grandmother's house, and my mother lived at my grandmother's house. She would make burgers for us. Every time we went there, every Friday we went there, she would make burgers. So my whole thing is this: you could keep on living and holding on to the past, or you can start understanding that what you've been through, it does not define who you are. The belief systems and everything that you tend to hold on to, those are what's making you keep getting the same thing from life. And that's why your experiences are all the same, because you keep on holding on to the resentment, not understanding why people did whatever it is that they did. Remember, a person cannot give you oranges if all they have is apples. Okay? And some people, right? Like, sometimes you may say, damn, how could my parents have done it? Sometimes your parent went through harsh stuff. And I'm not justifying it, but what I am saying is sometimes you have to have empathy, because you think sometimes like, oh, well, they should have did better or whatever it is. But you was placed into that same exact situation. Are you doing better? That's the question. That's the question. Because if your parents had you and they was abusive or whatever it is like that, are you doing better? Like, what are you doing to heal yourself? I remember it was this girl who was on my Facebook live, and I talked about this, about like forgiving your parents or becoming like your parents. And one of the things she said was she would never be like her mother. And I said, well, what are you doing to heal yourself? Because what you say you don't want to be like, that's what you often become. Why? Because that's where all your energy and attention is going towards. What you constantly say, I'll never be, I'll never be. Instead of you focusing on what you will never be, you have to focus on what you want to be. And so I asked her, and she said she don't do like too much because it's programming. So if you're not changing the program, you're gonna be just similar to them. And you hear people say all the time, like, you just like your mother. And oftentimes you don't see it. Or some people may say, oh, bro, you just like your father. Oftentimes you don't see it because the programming is so embedded into the subconscious mind that you actually believe that is you. Earlier, I was reading this book, and this is The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Okay. And in the book, it talked about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And how how the conscious mind is like, it holds or it protects like the subconscious mind, right? And the conscious mind is what you could accept or reject. But with the subconscious mind, it just accepts everything. And that's why when people joke, the subconscious mind, it does not differentiate like, oh, this person is making a joke. It doesn't differentiate like if it's true or if it's not true. The conscious mind is, you watch the news and then you say, I don't believe it, then it won't affect the subconscious. But from 0 to 7, even from in the womb up into 7 years old, our subconscious mind, it was wide open. And so whatever we may have seen or heard or been around, our environment is so important. And whatever you be around, all those things get embedded into the subconscious mind. And so if you just go on through life and you like, well, I'm fixed. I don't need to, do work on myself or any of those things. But you constantly getting results that you say you do not want to constantly get. Then it comes a point in time where so you start looking in the mirror and start understanding you the creator of your reality. To feel like someone else is coming to save you, you will just be waiting because you have free will. No one is coming to save you. You have the opportunity to see if what you're doing, if you want to continuously do it. But whatever pain and suffering comes along with that, you have the ability to change it. You have the ability, like if I remember I had heard Jim Rohn say this, and he said if this big monstrous thing kept on falling down from the sky or something, and what would you do? Like, would you stand there? Right? Say the monstrous thing fell one time. Are you gonna stand there and say why this monstrous thing stood there, or are you gonna start getting out the way? And that's the same as that concept with your life. You could either stand there and keep on repeating and doing the same exact thing, or you could do something different. You could stop punishing yourself for whatever it is that you've been through. Stop cycling that pain for the things that you felt like your mama or your daddy didn't do. So now you internalizing it and you making it seem like, they should have did better. But when in all actuality, they couldn't. Sometimes people so wrapped up and caught up into how they grew up and is they think that that's dumb. Like for me, I wanted change so bad. Like I knew I don't know. And I know sometimes we hear people say like the black sheep of the family was born into the family for a reason, right? To break generational curses. And I just wanted change so bad that I was willing to do the work. And every day is about me willing to do the work. And I still, at times yell at my children or, sometimes say certain things, but it's like I'm willing to do the work on myself. And that's the thing. Because I don't care what part of your journey you are on, and you may feel like, oh, I'm doing the work on myself, but I'm still doing certain things. You be patient with yourself. You've been programmed from all these years. You have to be patient with yourself. And understand that things are working. Don't beat yourself up because if your children decide to go astray and you beating yourself up like, oh well, if I would have been a better parent, conscious, you wasn't consciously there to be there. You can't be what you never was taught. It's impossible. You go to say you go to a Spanish speaking country or whatever, and you go there. No one ever taught you. You never took a lesson, right? Yeah, you was programmed to speak English because that's what was pretty much taught in a household. And so you go to this Spanish speaking country, and are you gonna beat yourself up because you don't know how to speak Spanish? No. You're not gonna beat yourself up because you don't know how to speak Spanish. You're gonna find a way. Same as that concept with healing yourself. Same as that concept with understanding that you have to forgive, okay? If you can't forgive, you're not forgiving the people for, you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. I remember one time I had wrote to this person, and I basically was saying, like, I understand why you did what you did. Like, I understand. I was grateful. Like, the person, she had got custody of me and everything like that. And at times she was mean. But I understood from the standpoint of, in order for you to be a certain way, you had to it had to be taught to you to be that way, right? Because when we just the same as that concept, like, hatred is taught, that's the same as that concept. And so I wrote a letter. I sent a message on Messenger, and I said, I forgive you and I understand and stuff like that. But then I guess the person took that as, like, I was put up with whatever. It's not, when you forgive somebody, you're not forgiving them so they can still have access to you. That's not so solely why you forgive them. You forgive them to let go of the resentment, to let go of the pain, to understand that whatever you've been through, you do not wish it was different because you can't go back in time. It happened already. It is what it is. So you have to start understanding that what you've been through, it is making you into the person that you are today. But if you can't forgive them, then oftentimes is running rampant into your body. The resentment, the hatred, all those things is running rampant into your body. And then they do more harm to you than I remember I had heard Dr. Wayne Dyer say, people don't die from the venom bite, they die from the poison. And it's the same as that concept with hatred. Same as that concept with feeling like this person should have done better, the resentment. Same as that concept. So with that being said, I hope you guys got something from this. I catch you guys tomorrow. I love you guys. Do understand whatever it is that you've been through. You don't have to keep going through it. You don't have to keep on choosing to live in that pain and that resentment. You could always start different. And sometimes you may not even know what different is. Like for me, I didn't know exactly step by step. I just kept putting out into the universe that I know I'm not here for this. I know I wasn't created for this. And so as long as I kept putting that out, we have heard time and time again the elders say, seek and ye shall find. And then next minute, I was doing videos. So with that being said, I catch you guys in the AM. Peace.